Hello, ladies and gents. This is why the US Navy rushed USS Tripoli to the Straits of Hormuz. The channel Navy Decoded. Obviously, I've been watching this channel video now basically daily now. And yeah, this is the video I was hoping they would make, or he would make. I don't know how many people are involved. Previous videos were about like how strategically choking the strait, like handling the Strait of Hormuz the way US is doing is pretty genius. And like, yeah, that was awesome video. But every time I watch this channel, I'm watching about specific thing like USS Ford, Lincoln, and now Tripoli. Only thing I knew about Tripoli before this is like one of those amphibious vehicles that are insane. It could be an aircraft carrier itself, right? But it's mostly for the vertical takeoff. It's a marine ship, right? With obviously F-35Bs. There are a lot of helicopters there. Yeah, so basically there are many things that is like what Marines use. The US Navy broke 90% of Iran's military equation, 60 warships destroyed, damn, missile factories in rubble. 2 carrier strike groups hold the perimeter. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Let's do this one.
Open-source satellite trackers detected something running at high speed through the South China Sea. Not a carrier,
Hauling
not
ass.
a destroyer, an amphibious assault ship. USS Tripoli, LHA-7. The ship most defense analysts had written off as a failed experiment. On her flight deck, up to 20 F-35B Lightning II stealth fighters. In her hull, 2,500 Marines. Destination, Hormuz. Here is why that is strange. We broke 90% of Iran's military equation. 60 warships sit on the bottom of the Gulf. The missile factories that fed Hormuz its teeth are rubble. Drone production lines, silent. 2 carrier strike groups hold the perimeter from opposite oceans. Lincoln commands the Arabian Sea, Ford locks down the Red Sea. A third carrier, the Bush, is still crossing the Atlantic, days away. From the outside, the siege looks complete, but Hormuz is still closed. So look at what complete actually means when you run the numbers. More than 150 tankers sit anchored outside the strait, hemorrhaging fuel costs while they wait. Brent crude holds above $100 a barrel because the market prices certainty. And right now...
Are you telling me that they sent Tripolian Marines to escort tankers and clear out the Strait of Hormuz? Are you telling me that what a lot of Navy ship would not dare do because it's a risk, Marines like, we'll do it? If that happens, holy shit.
Certainty does not exist. The remaining 10% of Iran's capability, mines seated across the seabed, mobile launchers buried inside mountain tunnels, fast attack craft staged in coastal coves, is enough to deny a 6 nautical mile shipping corridor. And here is the brutal arithmetic that keeps every escort commander awake. You do not need to sink a convoy to close a strait. You need to sink one tanker, one burning hull in that corridor, and no insurer on Earth will write the next policy. The strait does not close by force, it closes by fear, and fear only needs one example. That is the paradox at the center of this war. The most powerful navy in human history solved 90% of the problem, but escort requires 100, and the distance between 90 and 100 is a supertanker on fire. Why is the Pentagon sending a ship most analysts dismissed to solve the problem 2 supercarriers could not? What can 2,500 Marines do that 50,000 sailors cannot? If you are proud of the men and women operating these machines, subscribe to Navy Decoded. We do not sell headlines. We
See, a difference between 90 and 100% is exponential, astronomical when you think about it, because 100%, basically no one can get that. I'll give you an example. Let's say you want to clean your room. It's really dirty. Holy shit, I haven't been here for years. It's really dirty. Cleaning 90% will take you 20 minutes. Great, it's 90%, it's livable. 90% of it is clean. If you want to do 95%, oh my god, it will take you 6 hours because you have to like find things to clean. It's 95%. 99%, you're going full OCD in detail, it will take you 24 hours. Complete OCD level, like finding gaps and finding dust in gaps and everywhere between switches and things. It will take you 24 hours just to get from 95% to 99%. You want to go 100%? It will take you a week. A professional company with lab suits and everything, like a hazmat suits, chemicals, sensors, big ass bill with it, take a week, proper like closing the whole house, doing all the shit. It will take a week. The house will remain closed just for that 1%. That is how I would judge this. Like doing 90% is hard and America has did it, but 95%, ooh, that's even more hard. I need in a way, like you wanna like make the area safe. Not that 90% is easy, like that's completely different thing. But I'm talking about it to make the pathway easy possible. 90% is great. 95%, holy shit, this is gonna we're gonna take some damage. 99, 100%, oh my god, that's near impossible. Anyone can be hiding at any edge, any small island in that Strait of Hormuz. There are small rock type islands there. There's somebody in a cave could be hiding with a speedboat. 99 to 100%, that's insane.
Solve equations. To answer that, we need to understand the weapon they are sending. A ship America built, hated, and nearly scrapped. Because the story of why it was called a mistake is the same story that explains why it might now be the answer. When the Navy designed the America-class Flight Zero, they made a decision that...
You know what? It is a mistake. You shouldn't keep this USS. Sell to me. Sell to me. I'll take it. I'm sure it's a mistake. Yeah.
Drew fire from Congress, Marine Corps generals, and defense analysts alike. They removed the well deck from the blueprint entirely. The well deck is the ballast-flooded chamber at the bottom of an amphibious ship. Every assault ship since World War II has carried one. It is how you launch LCAC hovercraft, how you deploy landing craft. It is the identity of an amphibious warship.
Yeah.
Designing an amphib without a well deck is like engineering a cargo truck and forgetting the bed.
How is it amphibious if you remove that? The ship itself cannot go on a beach. What amphibious you doing? You need something inside a vehicle that can basically go from there to a beach as an amphibious assault.
Backlash was fierce enough to force the Navy's hand. Congress mandated the well deck be restored on the third hull, USS Bougainville, LHA-8. The first two, America, LHA-6, and Tripoli, LHA-7, were written off as failed experiments. Amphibious ships that forgot how to be amphibious. The defense press agreed. The ship was a mistake. But the Navy understood something the critics did not.
I mean, mistake for amphibious vehicles? Sure, I'll give you that. It's a mini carrier. Mini in terms of probably America, because I'm pretty sure this is bigger than a lot of other carriers that other countries have. Okay, it doesn't have amphibious vehicles inside, but it has place for cargoes, missiles, it has helicopters and vertical landing planes. There you go.
The space the well deck used to occupy unlocked a doubled hangar bay, expanded aviation maintenance facilities, a fully equipped surgical hospital, and jet fuel storage that previous amphib designs could never accommodate. Tripoli did not lose the ability to put Marines ashore. Tripoli changed how it puts Marines ashore, from the sea surface to the air. And in return, it gained something no other amphibious ship on Earth possesses: the ability to operate 20 F-35B Lightning II stealth fighters simultaneously. Proven off the coast of California in April 2022, 16 jets from Marine Aircraft Group 13 and 4 from VMX-1 operating from her deck in a single surge evolution. 20 F-35Bs, nearly half the air wing of a $13 billion supercarrier, on a ship that costs $3.5 billion. The ship they called a mistake turned out to be the most dangerous pocket carrier afloat.
Pocket carrier.
Now here is why that mistake is exactly right for Hormuz. We explained in a previous video why carriers refuse to enter the Persian Gulf, that 540 nautical mile bathtub Iran spent 40 years turning into a kill box. 100,000 tons of irreplaceable steel is too valuable to risk inside it. Tripoli displaces 44,000 tons. She is not irreplaceable the way Ford or Lincoln are. In the Pentagon's risk calculus, losing Tripoli is painful. Losing a carrier is catastrophic. Tripoli is expendable enough to get close and powerful enough to change the equation. And she brings something no carrier possesses. 25...
Yeah, losing a supercarrier, it's not catastrophic, it's weird. First of all, it's going to be really impossible for it to sink. Maybe it's not operational anymore, and then war finishes and it's still there. Now Iran becomes friendly and everybody's friendly and they're like, what the fuck, why is your carrier still there? It's blocking the Strait of Hormuz, and now it's a problem of like America wants to sink it because it's not operable anymore, but it's still there. Yeah, there you go. That's the bigger problem here.
500 Marines distributed across 5 ships. The 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit out of Okinawa, the only continuously forward-deployed MEU on the planet. They just completed Exercise Iron Fist 26 with the Japanese Self-Defense Force, practicing island seizure, electronic warfare, and rapid amphibious assault from February 23rd through March 9th, 2 weeks before Hormuz called. Escorting the Tripoli, the EE-18G cruiser Robert Smalls, CG-62, the Arleigh Burke destroyer Rafael Peralta, DDG-115, and 2 San Antonio-class LPDs, New Orleans and San Diego, carrying the Marines and their equipment. There is a cost. Pulling Tripoli from Japan strips the Indo-Pacific of its only amphibious rapid reaction force. That is not a light decision. The Pentagon is withdrawing assets from one theater to solve another, and that tells you exactly how important Hormuz is to America right now. The ship they called a mistake is now running at high speed through the South China Sea toward the narrowest strait on Earth, and it carries something nobody has.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure USA called South Korea and Japan yeah, if I move this and if China attacks, you're gonna be fine. And they're both like, yeah, we have advanced weapons now, it's fine, we can hold for a few months.
Brought to Hormuz before. Not more missiles, but an entirely new dimension, the ground. Iran built beach defenses to stop landing craft from the sea. Tripoli has no landing craft. Its Marines come from the sky.
Yeah, see, I put traps on the ground so you can't come in. I don't have any legs, dude. I'm floating over here. What you gonna do now?
Nobody knows exactly how CENTCOM will employ Tripoli. The orders are classified, and any channel that claims otherwise is guessing. But the capability is not classified, and Tripoli introduces 3 capabilities that did not exist at Hormuz before she sailed. Each one solves a piece of the 10% problem the carriers left behind. The problem. Lincoln and Ford operate in the open ocean outside the Persian Gulf, too valuable to risk inside the bathtub. That means no persistent air cover inside the strait. A combat air patrol launched from Lincoln at 500 nautical miles has to fly for over an hour just to reach the shipping lanes. Time on station is measured in minutes before the jets need to turn back for fuel. That gap, the gap between takeoff and presence, is where Iranian drones find tankers. Tripoli solves this with physics. At 44,000 tons and $3.5 billion, she is expendable enough in the risk calculus to operate close to Hormuz. Her F-35Bs are Stouffville, short takeoff, vertical landing. No catapults needed. They launch from an 844-foot deck. Operating at 100 nautical miles instead of 500 changes one variable that changes everything. Time on station. Run the math. An F-35B launching from Lincoln at 500 nautical miles cruises at roughly 450 knots. That is over an hour of transit each way, 2 hours of fuel burned just getting to the fight and back. On a standard load, that leaves maybe 40 minutes of actual patrol time over the shipping lanes. 3 sorties per day per jet, and you still have gaps measured in hours. Now, run the same math from Tripoli at 100 miles. 13 minutes each way. Time on station triples. Gap between patrols shrinks to minutes instead of hours.
Oh my god. Yeah, that is insane shit. You launch from a supercarrier, yeah, you need time. You launch for this amphibious vehicle, you're just there near a coast. It's just like 13 minutes. So you can scramble much faster. There are 20 F-35Bs on it. Imagine 10 of them are in air at once. That's a power, right? And best thing about this is they all can land at the same fucking time because they don't need a runway to land. They need runway to, I guess, take off. Smaller one, but they don't need runway to land. They can all land at one time. So you don't have to worry about immediately landing and how are we gonna land. Yeah, you can land at the same time and you can fly 10 planes in the air, basically circling the place.
And those minutes are the difference between an Iranian Mohajer 6 drone finding a tanker or an F-35B finding the drone first. Tripoli's passive sensors detect surveillance drones before those drones transmit targeting coordinates back to shore launchers. Kill the drone, and you break the kill chain. We explained how that chain works in the previous video. Tripoli is the tool that severs it at the source. Tripoli solves the sky, but the strait has 3 dimensions, and 2 of them are still Iran's. 3 fortified islands sit directly inside the shipping corridor, and no amount of air patrol neutralizes a missile launcher buried in reinforced concrete. Iran controls Abu...
This is what I noticed, man, in a previous video or something, right? Like I said, like, look at how the small islands are. Even I said at the start of the video. Yeah, these things will look small on the map, but reality is big enough. Could have caves in it. Like I've seen Indonesia and all the places where like small rocks in a sea have caves in it with proper rooms and everything. This could be that. Boats could hide inside. People with launchers could hide there. It's impossible to find this and predict this. This is literally guerrilla warfare. Guerrillas hiding in a tree, in a top of the branch. You're shooting people with a bow. This is Rambo 1. Him hiding inside a tree and shooting everyone.
Musa, Greater Tumb, and Lesser Tumb, seized in 1971. Iran fortified them with anti-ship missile batteries, coastal radar, artillery positions, and IRGC garrisons. They are unsinkable aircraft carriers, fixed platforms that can launch ordnance into the shipping lanes at point-blank range. Even after Epic Fury's air campaign, any surviving capability on those islands threatens every vessel transiting the corridor. This is the scenario Tripoli was optimized for, and this is where removing the well deck becomes an advantage, not a liability. A conventional amphibious ship would have to push landing craft through those same mined waters to reach the island. Tripoli does not. Marines insert by vertical envelopment, MV-22 Ospreys and CH-53 helicopters, not landing craft. They fly over the minefields instead of sailing through them. They do not touch the water Iran spent decades preparing to deny. Strike teams neutralize missile launchers and radar installations, extract whatever intelligence they can carry, and withdraw to the ship before the garrison can mount a counter. No permanent occupation.
Yeah, F-35Bs fuck shit up. Destroy any launchers, anything it finds, because it's F-35. And then this thing flies off, Osprey, lands like a fucking helicopter, flies like a plane, dropping Marines there, do the operation back to the Tripoli. This is insane power.
Just a position that no longer shoots at tankers. The precedent exists. Operation Praying Mantis, 1988. Marines from USS Trenton boarded and destroyed Iranian oil platform.
Oh my, those were Marines? So when they fucked up Iran's Navy, Marines were involved, and America's like, you know what, it's time to involve Marines again.
In the Persian Gulf in a single day. The 31st MEU trains for exactly this kind of operation. The honest caveat, raiding a fortified island is high risk. The current state of Iranian defenses on these islands after 2 weeks of airstrikes remains unclear. This is the lowest probability scenario, but the highest impact one, and it is now on the table. But here is what matters. The fact that a raid is possible forces Iran to garrison those islands, and every IRGC soldier defending an island is one not defending the coastline. Raids solve islands. But the Strait is not only islands, it is also 6 nautical miles of open water that no warship can safely enter. So the question becomes larger. How do you control a corridor without putting a ship inside it? The concept is called Expeditionary Advanced Base Operations, the central idea behind the Marine Corps' Force Design 2030 overhaul, the most radical restructuring of the Marines since World War II. It has never been tested in combat. Hormuz may be the first. Here is how it works. Marines fly ashore, to small islands, uninhabited coastline, or allied territory in Oman or the UAE. They establish temporary bases.
Oh, yeah. US Marines did that to counter China. This is modern, modern reform of Marines, splitting them into smaller guerrilla-style groups. I use the word guerrilla because not one chunk concentrated thing, but like scattered around, doing their thing. This is how they were split very recently to counter China, basically. Otherwise, because the way China is, right? Like the China has certain technologies, it's best to like scatter around them. They become much more threat like that. Because otherwise they were like kind of like Navy. It's like we have Navy. Why is Marine acting like Navy in this larger scale? So they just like splinter these pieces. So yeah, the same thing's they're gonna use it here.
HIMARS launchers, radar arrays, and forward arming and refueling points where F-35Bs and Ospreys can land, rearm, and relaunch without returning to the ship. What this creates, a kill zone spanning the entire width of the Strait. HIMARS firing ATACMS at 162 nautical miles or PRSM at 270 nautical miles can engage any
Prisms.
fast attack craft, submarine, or mine-laying vessel
The
that
prisms are badass missiles made by Lockheed, if I remember correctly. I remember watching video about them long ago. America's like, let's use them. They're finally using that.
enters the shipping corridor. Anti-ship firepower from shore. Simultaneously, Marines provide security for the LCS mine countermeasure ships already operating in the area.
Yeah.
Small boats screening against fast boat harassment. F-35Bs overhead creating a protective bubble. Mine clearance still takes weeks. But Tripoli accelerates the timeline by protecting the sweepers, instead of waiting for the sweeping to finish before escort begins. That rewrites the physics of strait control. You no longer need warships inside the strait to control the strait. Marines on shore create a firepower bubble that is cheaper, harder to find, and impossible to sink. The precedent is not theoretical. HIMARS already sank Iranian warships during Epic Fury, firing from Bahrain. The 31st MEU just practiced a similar scenario during exercise Iron Fist 26. The honest caveat: EABO doctrine is new, untested at this scale. The logistics of sustaining forward bases under Iranian counterfire remain unproven. But the physics has already been proven.
But as far as I remember, maybe I'm wrong, but correct me if I'm wrong, Marines were kinda already acting in that way in the past, in certain training exercises and even in certain things they've done in the past. Marines were kinda, like local, commanders and things were kinda like pivoting towards this anyway. And it was seen like Marines kinda want to do this anyway, and it was structured like that, right? So it's not like Marines are completely new to this. If anything, they've finally realized that, yeah, Marines are best at this, let them do this.
HIMARS reached Iranian warships from Bahrain. The doctrine is new, the weapon is not. 3 separate scenarios, but none of them matters in isolation. Stack them together, and something emerges that Iran has never faced and has no playbook to counter. This is not about adding more firepower to a problem firepower already failed to solve. It is about adding a dimension that did not exist in this theater until Tripoli sailed. For 40 years, Iran only prepared to counter threats from the sea, American warships on the horizon. Iran mastered that equation: mines below the waterline, cruise missiles from shore batteries, fast attack craft swarming in the shallow.
Yeah, this is like a guy was behind a barricade shooting at them, and they already had a guy with a shotgun and a sniper rifle. They introduced a charging bull, to solve the equation. The guy behind the barricade didn't know a charging bull could be part of the equation, but it is. That's Marines for you.
Every dollar, every doctrine, every fortification was built to make the Gulf too expensive for ships to enter. The first 2 weeks of Epic Fury added a threat from the sky. Carrier air wings dismantled air defenses, flattened factories, crippled military infrastructure. But aircraft fly sorties and return to base. They do not stay. When Tripoli arrives, the equation gains a threat from the ground. Marines can appear on any island, any coastline, any allied position along the strait. And Marines stay. That is the dimension Iran never built defenses against. Iran built coastal defenses against ships entering the strait. Mines, shore-based missiles, fast attack swarms. Iran built air defenses against aircraft bombing from above. Those defenses are now crippled. Iran built beach defenses to stop landing craft from the sea. Tripoli has no landing craft. Its Marines come from the sky. Now look at it from Tehran's side. Defend the islands against Marine raids, and the coastline lies open to EBO. Fortify the coastline, and the islands fall. Disperse across all positions, and there is not enough left at any single point to stop anything. 3 responses, 3 failures. The equation has no correct answer, because Iran built defenses against ships and aircraft, not against Marines who arrive by helicopter onto positions that were never supposed to be contested. That variable has never existed in Iran's coastal defense equation, and Iran cannot build a counter for it in weeks, not when its factories are rubble and its air defenses are silent. Be honest about what this does not mean. It does not mean Hormuz opens tomorrow. Mine clearance still takes time. Escort still carries risk. But Tripoli shifts the
I mean, Europe is still finding mines from World War II, so yeah, it takes times.
timeline from months to weeks. And more importantly, it shifts the initiative. Before Tripoli, we waited for the equation to solve itself, grinding Iran down through naval siege while oil markets bled. After Tripoli, we solve it, actively, from multiple dimensions simultaneously. If this video changed how you look at an amphibious assault ship, subscribe to Navy Decoded. The next equation is already being built. So let us return to the paradox we started with, the 10% problem that two supercarriers could not solve. Carriers solved 90%, an extraordinary achievement by any standard in military history. But Hormuz does not grade on a curve. Hormuz runs on absolute certainty, and 90% is not 100. A single mine, a single missile, a single tanker burning in the corridor is all it takes to keep the insurance markets shut and the shipping lanes empty. The Navy did not solve the last 10% by sending more ships into the corridor. They sent a force designed to operate where ships cannot. On islands, on coastlines, in the sky above the Strait, at ranges no carrier can sustain. The Navy refused to enter Hormuz, so they sent the Marines. Not to invade Iran, not to occupy, to fill the gap between 90 and 100% by solving the equation from dimensions Iran never defended. Iran spent 40 years solving the equation for ships. They solved it perfectly. Mines, missiles, swarms, mountain tunnels, every defense calibrated to one variable, American steel on the waterline. They solved the right equation, but it was the wrong variable. Carriers siege from outside, Marines solve from inside. And the ship they called a mistake turned out to be the answer nobody saw coming.
Marines solve from inside, from the top, from the side, anything they can do. Yeah. Kind of makes sense. See, I like this channel because this channel always kind of makes sense. You're like, yeah, I didn't thought of that. That just makes sense. So yeah, they're using Tripoli and the Marines to like secure this, like the Hormuz Strait, but secure not in a direct, oh, I'm going to escort the ships way. Now, secure in a way that they would make sense and weed out any of the dangers that are there. Maybe they'll go on those small rock-looking island and secure them, make sure nothing's hiding there. Maybe they'll secure somewhat of like coastlines, make sure nobody's there. Basically, guaranteeing that nothing is going to jump out and attack the cargo ship. Anything else could be detected on radar, and planes can solve that. That's what's going to happen. Right, well, if you like my subscribe, and I'll see you next time.